Hi, I'm Kimba Griffith from Australia, and I'm going to be reading my poem Solitary Island, which is featured in the upcoming anthology To Let the Light In. The woman died in her mobile home alongside the upper reaches of a river that tumbled clean from the mountain above. Her family gathered for a funeral in the midst of pandemic, the clearing surrounded by spreading willows and gums, a stark contrast to a whole world closing in on itself. I came to offer ceremony, one we planned by phone, unsteady on the wet grass, unsteady too, having missed the chance to bear witness to the weight and heft of grief, its form as it moved through a family, lacking a map of faces, the language of laden glances, the silences where sadness snagged in those old, worn places. The day threatened rain. Her neighbours in this caravan park trailed the hearse. Someone precious was gone and they wanted to gather. And here I stood ready to stop them, turn them back, citing new laws, warnings, regulations, a new normal. 10 mourners only. I breathed the words out like a song. A palpable sense of tongue biting, rattled breathing and wistfulness reared up between us. Me, the stranger, turning up and saying how it was going to be, and them, the ones who'd lost a mate. Some wore suits. You could tell they hadn't been worn in years. The wearers trailed away to the far edges, tugging on their collars. 10 lonely chairs were placed before the coffin, each one a solitary island. The one speaker addressed his words to her coffin, his simple turn of phrase weaving gold into the cracks her sudden passing left splintered and open. On those little islands of sorrow, the solitary mourners rocked, clasping themselves, their aches. The woman's sister rose to approach the coffin, and as she did, the grief rose, a sudden whitecap, a moan snatched to a whisper. "It isn't real. This isn't real," she whispered. "It was as real as when I laid her in that box myself, cold and beautiful and gone." As the mourners slipped away, I noticed the man in his wrinkled suit edging closer. A hasty Windsor knot clutched at his throat, his mouth set hard but cheeks wet. We locked eyes and I nodded. He wandered up to the coffin and without touching it, he leaned forward. "Goodbye, Duck. You were one of the best. Goodbye now." I've always loved poetry. I think probably like Spike Milligan or something when I was a kid. And just like funny little rhyming verses. They were all just silly little poem books, but I really loved them. And then I think when I got into high school, Dead Poet Society was a huge influence on my life and on my appreciation for poetry, and got really into Walt Whitman and other writers. Yeah, so I've always had a fascination for it, but it's only recently I've kind of returned to writing it myself. It's just an account of the first funeral we did in, we've had 4 lockdowns in Melbourne, and that was the first one. So it was very new, and it was also, I think we'd only been open as a funeral company for 3 months or even less, maybe even 2 months. So it was really a powerful experience because it was, a taste of what was going to be. It was just such a, exquisitely awful time, but it was also incredibly poetic and beautiful how it all played out. So I opened it with my co-founder, Nastasia Jones, in January 2020. I have been a celebrant for a long time and also a death doula. So I work with dying people and their families. And I didn't feel like, it was easy to, make a living out of being a death doula or even access people that easily to do what I wanted to do to help them approach dying in a more positive way, or just to be a support to people in that time. So we opened our own funeral company. We're known for helping people to have the most authentic funeral they can, helping them to I guess just be in the presence of the knowledge that their death is imminent, I suppose. It's a really powerful and difficult and wonderful thing that I've had the opportunity to do. Yeah. I think that if more people started with just saying like, oh, hey, when I die, I want to have this done, or I want to go in a cardboard coffin, or, you know, whatever it might be, that's a really great way just to kind of open the door to it. But, you know, depending on what's happening for a person, if it's imminent, yeah, I think it's really quite intense, and all I can do is be a container, a safe container to hold them. And then same for families when they're organising a funeral, is we try to just do whatever families want. You know, that's our goal. But yeah, in the wider community, like part of the poetry writing, and we have art exhibitions and we have death expos, and we have Ask Us Anything Q&A sessions. And that is just to facilitate people talking more about death and dying, because, you know, I think the more we talk about it, the more literate we are, the better we're going to do it in our societies and in our own lives.